Hi, we're on the range today. A while ago I did a presentation on my top 5 briefcase guns, and I don't want to rehash the whole thing, but the very short version is you have your concealed handgun, and then in addition to that, you have a firearm that might provide greater accuracy, more power, more magazine capacity in a briefcase, a suitcase, a gym bag, a backpack, and under certain circumstances that could be a force multiplier. Well, in talking about my top 5 briefcase guns, one of them was not a firearm, it was a firearm accessory, an extended magazine. This is my Beretta 92FS, and it comes with 15-shot magazines. This is a 32-shot magazine. Obviously, this is something that I would not be able to use for concealed carry. It's also big enough that I would not be able to carry it on my person as an extra magazine. But in a gym bag, under certain circumstances, it could be something that's really good to have. Now, that presentation brought up a debate that has nothing to do with briefcase guns. And there's two sides of this debate. One side is that if you have your concealed handgun and you're carrying an extra magazine, that instead of carrying a standard extra magazine, you should carry on your person the extended magazine. Well, most of us wouldn't be able to do that. But presuming that you're someone who can carry such a thing without getting funny looks, the idea is that if you have an extra magazine that's a 30-shot mag instead of a 15, all those extra rounds might give you an advantage. Well, what about carrying just 2 extra 15-shot magazines? That means to utilize that, you'd have to reload twice, as where the 30-shot magazine gives you 30 extra rounds, only having to reload once. Now, the other side of that debate is that you should not carry the extended magazine on your person because your pistol has a certain weight and balance to it. If you put in this extended magazine, obviously with 15 more rounds it makes it heavier and it changes the balance of the firearm. Now, if you take a few minutes to get accustomed to that, it's fine. But the concept is that if you're in a citizen-involved shooting that's already gone badly enough that you've expended your magazine and you need to reload, you have to shoot, reload, shoot again very quickly, and you're not going to have time to become accustomed to the change in weight and balance. And the thought is that that change in weight and balance will negatively affect your ability to shoot the firearm accurately, and it will negatively affect your ability to manage the recoil, thus slowing down your rate of fire. So, again, put concisely, if you can carry the big magazine on your person without being obtrusive, it gives you more rounds and or less reloading. The other side of that is that you shouldn't carry the big magazine because the change in weight and balance will negatively affect accuracy and rate of fire. Now, the question for me is, do either of those points of view have any validity? Let's see if we can put that to the test. I've got 3 targets set up at 10 yards, and I'll shoot these targets 1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1, 1, 2, 3. Then I'll reload with my 15-shot magazine and repeat the drill 1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1, 1, 2, 3, and we'll see what kind of speed and accuracy I can achieve. Let's take a look at the targets. So here's our 3 targets. I have the shot holes covered with the red pasties so they're easier to see. The total possible score on each target was 60. On target 1 I have a score of 57, target 2 56, and on target 3 59. Now we'll repeat that drill, but this time when I reload I'll use the extended magazine and we'll see to what degree, if any, that affects my time and accuracy. Now let's take a look at the target. Now I've got the shot holes covered with the yellow pasties, and again, remember the total possible score on each target is 60. On our first target, we went from 57 to 58, so that's a gain of 1, and I'd say the group is better. On our second target, we went from 56 to 55, so that's a loss of 1, and the group is comparable. But on our third target, we went from 59 to 55, and that's a loss of 4 points, and I'd say the group is not nearly as good. But if you put it all together, the total possible when you add the score of the 3 targets is 180. On the first iteration, I got a score of 172. On the second iteration, 166. That is less, but not much less, and I'm going to say that has a lot more to do with me than it does with the magazine. And as far as our times, they look like this. Is that enough difference to make a difference? You be the judge. Now I'll repeat that drill with a different pistol and see if I can get a consistent result. I'm going to use my Colt government model in caliber 38 Super Auto, and when I reload, I'll use the standard length magazine. Let's take a look at the target. We've got our shot holes covered with red pasties so they're easier to see, and again the total possible on each target is 60, and the scores I got were 59, 59, and 58. Now let's repeat this drill, reloading with the extended magazine, and see how our time and accuracy compares. And this time when I reload, I'll reload with this extended 17-shot magazine. Now let's take a look at the targets. I've got the shot holes covered with the yellow pasties, and again remember that the total possible score for each target was 60. So for our first target we went from 59 to 56, that's a loss of 3. With our second target from 59 to 58, a loss of 1. And for our third target we went from 58 to 59, a gain of 1. So when you put the scores together and combine the scores of all 3 targets, it's a total possible of 180. And with our first iteration with the Colt government model, we got 176. The second iteration, we got 173. That's less, but not much less, and probably has a lot more to do with me than the magazine. Now here were our times. Again, was there enough difference to make a difference? So I did the standard length magazine reload drill and the extended length magazine reload drill with 2 different firearms, and what can we take from the results? Remember that the initial hypothesis was that when using the extended magazine, it's going to cost you accuracy and time. In this case, did it cost me any accuracy? And with the extended magazine, my scores were just a little bit lower. So it would appear that the magazine may have had some influence. However, I'm going to say that when you're in a shooting situation, things like what range you're shooting, the target you're shooting at, your firearm and ammunition choices, your level of skill as a shooter are going to be far greater influences than the influence you get from the length of your magazine. But in this particular case, with me shooting our drill today, all of those factors remain the same. The only thing that changed was the magazine length, and my scores were a little bit lower. So it may have had some influence. But was there enough difference to make a difference? And I'm going to say really no. Also, the hypothesis was that it would cost you time. In this case, using the extended magazine, my times were faster. So it would appear on the 2 sides of this debate, on this side saying that you shouldn't carry the extended magazine because it will cost you time and accuracy, appears to have almost no validity. But does that mean that the other side does have validity? The idea that if you carry this extended mag, that you'll have more rounds, or at least the same number of rounds, but fewer reloads. Is that valid? Well, mathematically, yes. But is it valid in the sense of relevance? Okay. Accurate statistics on how many rounds someone typically fires in a citizen-involved shooting are extremely difficult to get. But from what I can put together, the great majority of shootings are resolved favorably for the citizen with 6 rounds or less. So even if you carry an auto-loading pistol with a relatively low capacity, this Colt government model in caliber 38 Super has a capacity of 9+1, or you're in a jurisdiction where regardless of what type of firearm you have, you're relegated to a 10-shot magazine, it would appear that the great majority of the time, that's going to be plenty. Now on a side note, I am an advocate of the idea that regardless of your capacity, even if you have a 20-shot magazine, you should carry an extra magazine, because there might be times when your magazine release button gets inadvertently pressed, or you have a catastrophic magazine failure, and you might need that extra magazine having nothing to do with how many rounds you fired. So carrying an extra magazine is a good idea. But carrying an extended magazine, the idea that it's going to require fewer reloads, again, to reload is rare. To reload twice is all but unheard of. So that presumed advantage would be almost completely irrelevant. And the idea that you're carrying all these extra rounds that someone would virtually never need. And I am not going to say that things like that have never happened. I'm just going to say that they almost never happen. So it would appear that both sides of this argument have almost no validity. When we talk about different things when it comes to concealed carry, home defense, personal protection, there are a lot of things we can discuss and we can debate. Carry methods, different types of holsters, different types of firearms, different types of ammunition, different types of shooting styles. And I would say all of those things are going to be far more relevant topics of discussion than the debate of whether you should or shouldn't carry an extended magazine. And of course, this is always based on the notion of presuming you can carry this and still maintain program compliance. Now, there's something else I want to add. Even though I'm standing here saying that everything we were just discussing is really not a valid argument, that does not mean that when people asked me to test this, that it wasn't something valid to test. That does not mean that today's presentation was a waste of time. I'm really glad you people contacted me with this topic so we could get this out here and show that it had very little relevance. So, as always, don't try this at home on what you call a professional, and thanks for watching the standard length magazine versus extended magazine video.